I thought that being baptized was just emotion, something that you did to tell people that you loved God. It ended up being so much more than that. My name is Rachel Boland. My husband Bill and I are professional wedding photographers. We're expecting the birth of our son very soon. Everybody thinks that we're going to have 1 million photos of him, and that's probably very true. As a little girl, I loved God. My mom read me Bible stories. I loved church. I grew up going to church. I even attended a Baptist school for 4 years. The ironic thing was I was never baptized. On Wednesdays when we would go to chapel during school, I was sitting in this row with all these kids that had been baptized, and I always pictured the fact that God was looking down on me and he just saw this empty space where I was. And I didn't understand, but that's when I really started to feel like I was different than other people. Maybe I didn't deserve to have God's love. That followed me most of my early adult life. If I made mistakes, I felt like I was just never good enough. So I would try these different churches as I got older, but I never made that connection. When we first started going to Northland, one of the things that I liked about it was the size. I thought that I could easily blend in and nobody would notice me. My husband would always say, "Where do you want to sit?" And I'd say, "As far away as we can." I had started sneaking into a Sunday service where there was a lot of people, but we were still sitting really high. Pastor Joel had done an altar call, and I have never been so compelled in all of my life. I felt like I ran towards him. And I mean, that was 2 stories. I ran down, and I stood up there in front of him, and I sobbed, and I said, "I'm ready. I am so ready to be done with this. I'm so ready to be done with feeling this badly about myself. I'm ready to stop being cynical and mean, and I'm ready to just fill my life with love." And it was just, it couldn't have been at a more perfect time. As I had just been through these horrible things, I used to just sit and watch people do those things. I used to see it on TV. But to actually do it was awesome. A few weeks later, Northland announced that they were going to be doing this really big baptism weekend, and I signed up that day. Since that altar call, I didn't want to go sit on that second story anymore. I wanted to sit, and it seems funny and it seems somewhat ridiculous, but I just wanted to sit as close as I could. So we started sitting 2-3 rows back from the stage. So when they finally said, "Okay, those of you that are being baptized, come on up," I was at those steps. I was the 3rd person in line, and my knees were shaking so bad that I could barely walk. And it wasn't nerves. It was the most incredible rush. I felt like I was right there. I felt like I was knocking on heaven's door, and I was getting ready to get the best hug I had ever had in my whole life. I remember being afraid the water was going to be cold, and I got in and it felt amazing. But looking back now, I don't think it was the water that felt amazing. And Pastor Jeff and Pastor Nathan were so sweet. They had these smiles, and I don't even really remember what they said other than talking about loving God and God loving me. And I remember Pastor Jeff saying, "Are you ready?" And I said, "I've been ready my whole life." There was this overwhelming sense of peace. And I remember thinking as I was coming up out of the water, this is what love feels like. And I think about that all the time, and I don't ever want to let that go. And I finished, and I came back into service, and I watched everybody else do it. And I was as happy for them as I was for myself, because I knew how it felt. And seeing people and being a part of it, there's just no way to describe it. I can try, but there's just no way. I'm sitting here almost 9 months along, and we are expecting the birth of our baby boy very, very soon. And I want him to see his parents love Christ. I hope that I can give him something that I felt like I missed as a child, and that is a home in a church where there's people, and it doesn't matter who they are or what they've done, they're at church. And God loves them, so we need to love them. That's what I want.